see. There it goes. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right. Be back in a minute, 19 seconds. Welcome, everybody. We got the amazing, brave, beautiful, beloved, ballsy Melissa Deehan in the house. It's been a long time since we got together.
Yeah.
And I know a lot's going on. Yeah, I know a lot's going on. Well, I mean, Morgan's not a chatty, what do you call it? A chatty mouth? She's not. But because you guys worked, do that work together and you talk, frequently, weekly, I guess. So I pick up little tidbits here and there, but so I feel like it's not been so long, but it has been a while. It's probably been like 4 or 5 months, maybe. I don't know, since we talked.
Yeah, it's actually been more since you and I talked in this context. You photobombing or hacking our calls or appearing out of nowhere, scantily clad in the background. That's frequent.
I forgot about that.
I'm never prepared for that shit.
I forgot all about that.
Yeah, you see, I'll rat you out. But no, but it's been a few months since you and I spoke, and the main reason, I mean, for me, what I've been doing is I've just been keeping my head down and doing exactly what you've been talking about there, working alongside Morgan, and 0 point in my entire world. And I'm going to do my best not to combust as I talk about this process because it's just phenomenal.
No, we can talk about
whatever
you want to talk about. Hello, Raquel Trevino.
Yeah.
3 feathers. Haven't seen you in a while. God, I'm dizzy. I was nauseated. I had to lay down before this show. I felt like I was going to throw up. I got the chills. I don't know, man. This is like, I don't know what's happening here. And she did mention, because I went downstairs yesterday. I slept late because we're staying up till 6 o'clock in the morning because you can't keep your hands off me. I don't know what's going on with that, but I'm not complaining.
How could you not? Look at you.
All right. But so I went down. She's like, oh, my God, you look like I feel. Mm-hmm. And I said, is anybody else feeling this? She goes, yeah. Melissa told me that she's like going to work and she can't even keep her, she can't stay awake, which that's happened. That happens to me. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. The weekend was just, it's like you're on a roller coaster. 1 minute you're full of energy. The next minute you just like want to sleep forever. And I think we're just having to learn to go with the flow now, really, aren't we? Everything that's coming up it's coming up for us. There's no other way to say it.
I know. It's like all the cliches have gone out the window. They've all just gone out the window. Like because even the ones that like go inside, go in, like it's got a whole new meaning now. Like it just, I don't know how to explain it either. I keep going back to this video that Lori Ladd did this weekend, something about going into 2021. And it's 29 minutes, and I can't normally watch a whole video. I just don't have it in me, but I watched most of it. But there was things she was talking about the body, and it's not even what she was saying. It was something that was coming through behind it. and it was just like telling me, and I'm still trying to get my arms around it, but like the body is, I mean, how much more human can you get than the body? So it's like the body is front and center, and it's the main thing now. Like maybe it should always been, I don't know, but like Morgan had a download. I don't know how long ago it was. It was maybe a month ago or 2 months ago. I mean, and what she got was that oh no, it was about 2 weeks ago that her team was telling her, you can't do this in dimension. You got to do it at the human level. We're not going to let the human avoid this. Maybe that's not the perfect way to put it. But to me, those things kind of like, they don't capture what I'm trying to say or feel, but it's like the body is not going to be denied as an equal part, you know, we don't think of the body as multidimensional, or we don't think of the body as magical and alchemical and the type of light body we have, let's say, in dimension. But I think the body that's what's happening to the body. And it's not a cliche anymore. And it doesn't, and you think, oh, well, I'll push this button and now I'm this or I'm that. But it's not like that. You got to go through these phases and, you know, these activations and these pains in the asses and all that.
I think it's happening, like you said, there's no avoiding it now, and it's happening on every single level. So if you try and plow through, you'll get taken down. Because we've come to a point now over the last few months where everybody's had to slow down, everybody's had to turn in, everybody has had to really face the consequences of every single choice and action that they've ever made. It's all catching up on us. There's nowhere to go. If you dodge it physically, it's going to come at you mentally. If you dodge it there, it comes at you emotionally. If it doesn't come at you within, it's coming at you outside of you. There's nowhere to run. And at this point, you know, why would you want to? Why would you want to?
Because we're chicken shits. I don't know. Hey,
Vera, I know, but you know what? They say everything. Go on, sorry.
No, I was going to say Vera.
I was only going to say everything you want is on the other side of your fears.
Absolutely, it is. We have a lag. That's why it sounds like we're interrupting each other. Vera just came on. Vera, in between shows, was doing this live video, and Vera was doing Vera. Vera was doing what we're talking about. She was crying, she was doing a live, and she was just laying it on the line. You know, and she says embodiment is the key, no bypassing possible. It is not about going up, it's about bringing it into the physical. And this is what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Bringing it all in. And
yeah.
Bringing it all together for you. You know, like Vera said, it's embodiment. That's what's going down right now, embodiment. And we've never been here before.
No. And it sounds like, okay, this is what I'm trying to say. Like, in regard to that, I've said this many times too, because Morgan used to tell me, when I met her 5 years ago, none of that matters until you embody it. I'm like, what the hell does that mean? And I asked her for 2 years, every month or two, what does that mean? I never could understand it until I started to feel it, right? But what I'm trying to say is, so you can take something like that and you can say, oh, I get that. Oh, I get that. Oh, I know what 0 point it is, or this or that. But it's not enough to say that. That's what I'm trying to say. It's the universe is not letting us go, oh, I know that. No, you don't know that. Because if you knew it, you wouldn't even have to say anything.
It's saying it's saying as well, show me. The universe is saying, show me. Don't tell me, show me. And we've never, like I said, we've never been here before. So it's so many of us are afraid to, like, I know we termed or coined the term to say that right, own your shift.
Yeah.
Name, but it's one thing understanding it. It's a whole other game. Quite literally living it in all areas of your life. And so many of us are afraid to do it because, for me personally, I did, a couple of years worth of intense shadow work. It took me so far. And then I peaked. and I couldn't go any deeper. I couldn't go any further. I was recognizing the energy of specific things reoccurring all around me, and I'm like, I've done this work. I've been on this path for doing this journey for many years now. How the hell am I here? And then how am I here again? What a lot of us are finding is, because we've done this amount of work, we don't even leave ourselves in that shit pit. You find yourself going, how am I here again? But because of the work so many of us done, we don't leave ourselves there. We pull ourselves back up quite quickly and say, okay, well, what do I need to do here? How can I remedy this? And that's the point where I reached last August. And that's when I found this process of zero pointing. And by doing this work, it helped me to get to a point where now I know the very subtle difference between embodiment and, loving the idea of it. There's a huge, you can feel it in your body, you can feel it in your heart, you can feel it in your words, your actions. It's the alignment of all of these things coming together, and you know it when you're living it. I can't really explain it better than that.
Well, that's right. Yeah, that's right. No, I agree with you. And then the other thing too about what you're talking about, of course, have the luxury of being married and partnered up with Morgan. There's a difference between shadow work, and I know we can get lost in semantics, but everyone pretty much knows inner work, shadow work. There's a difference between shadow work and 0 point, because the shadow work is like owning stuff and finding your blind spots and on, where you can do that. And then these loops, which you're talking about, they keep coming back. They keep coming back around. Like, how do you stop that? And that has, I think, more to do, at least from my observation, with my behavior. Like my unconscious behavior, like saying yes to that loop as it comes back around. Yes, I'll take you again. Yes, give me another. Right? And so I don't know, man. It's like, but you're right, because you can't. And I've had a lot of people do this, and I'm sure I've done it. Oh, I get that. I know that. Like, I think it's been a while for me, but I know there was a time when I would say, I got that. Even if I didn't say it openly, I said it to myself. Oh, I know that. Well, I don't say that anymore, because if you don't feel it, you don't know it. And I love, and then when you do know it, feel it, know it, you don't even have to say anything. You just watch the world go by, right? Including yourself.
Yeah. Until I started to do this work, I thought I had a lot of my stuff sussed out. I really did. Like so many of us, we spend years doing this work, and we think and when I'm speaking to somebody about this or trying to explain how this works, I liken describing how our programs, how they operate and how they run within us, to a mobile phone. We buy a new phone, it comes pre-installed with the capacity to store numbers, send a few text messages and so forth. What we do as humans, we have our basic operating program. So we came here to experience and such. When we buy the mobile phone, we install apps. Before we know it, we've got like 100 apps running on the phone. And how many are you using at any given time? Maybe 5. But all of these apps are still on the device. Now remember, the human's the equivalent to the device. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
What all of these apps are doing on the device is taking up storage space. They're draining the battery life because they're running in the background we don't even know. All of a sudden you can't take any pictures, any joy, because we're exactly like that. We've got conscious and subconscious programs running within us. We think we have them all sussed out, and we do our inner work, we do our shadow work, and we do the equivalent of deleting an app from the device. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then
what we do is we start to relive experiences, thinking that we have all of our stuff sussed out, but we don't. What we fail to realize is that unless we uninstall which is the equivalent of our programs.
Yeah. Did she leave? She left. That was a great analogy, Lalani. Another comment from Vera. I can't put it on there because it's too big. But this is another thing I've noticed too, because she says, beautifully said, Melissa, living it seems so scary as there is no more quote unquote security handle or comfort zone. And we are moving from transformational work into active co-creation. And I agree with that. I think it's actually both. I think there's something about, co-creating and collaborating that kind of in a sense does the same thing, kind of, okay? But it definitely creates expansion. The co-creation, the collaboration creates expansion because it takes balls and it takes courage to step into these types of situations because you're not in your comfort zone. And Auguste and Vera have proven that, they're proving that. We use the ing word. I don't know what happened to Melissa. I have no idea where she went, but I'll just keep rolling with it. Everybody seemed to like that phone analogy. AB Buckmaster, how's it going? It looked like her signal was fading quite a bit. Anyway, yeah, so yes, it does take balls. It does. It absolutely does. Look, there's some commonalities here. It takes balls to look for your blind spot, right? It takes balls to be open to your unconscious programming, all right? To consider that there may be something you're missing. It takes balls to co-create and collaborate. It takes balls to birth something, to have an idea and try to put it into the physicality. We come from these programs of, being compared to, being judged. And yet we get all this stuff that happened on the external, and the whole time these internal programs are getting embedded and imprinted deeply from what we thought was, basically something from the external that it turns out to be it's the internal hard drive that got infected. Oh, here she comes. All right. I had to keep the ball rolling here, and I told you I was going to vomit before the show. Nothing against you.
Sorry.
No. But I'm doing all right.
I don't know what happened. Sorry about that.
Well, when you left, Vera had put up a comment talking about how we're going from, transformation. Oh, were you coming in? Oh, I thought Morgan was going to make an appearance. But she was talking about how we're going from transformation to co-creation. And I was just saying, I see that. To me, they're almost like this. I know they're not the same thing, but what you're describing is transformation, and what co-creating and collaborating, it creates transformation. I've noticed this in myself, and it's kind of new and fresh and novel. But like we're about to go to Sedona, there's no real agenda, no real schedule. There's a really loose, okay, we're going to be here, drop by if you want to, do a show together. And, this Michael Mejia is going to come in, and this guy's going to come in with music, and this guy's going to come in with light. We don't know what we're going to do. You're just going to get in a room, and, and that can be done virtually. It can be done in presence. And you're just going to try to make something happen. And there's some type of transformational occurrence with that type of thing, some type of growth. I guess that's what I'm getting at. Yeah. Yeah. But
I have no idea where I obviously dropped off there. I actually don't even know what happened. So, what part did you catch me at last?
Well, you were talking about, I think you were actually, or maybe we can just go this direction, because I have a little bit of information because I've been around Morgan, and I know, other than me coming in and doing my Chippendales routine for you during your meetings, but you've gone through some incredible changes, as a lot of people have. Mm. But one of the things about, I think, the difference between like shadow work to me is like awareness. It becomes aware, and you admit it and you accept it. And then this zero pointing thing, it's a clearing. It is a transformational thing. And it does create an energy of creation, of birthing. And what I'm getting at, for instance, is like I've known a few people that they start jumping into it, and the next thing you know, relationships start, old relationships with siblings or parents or children start to come into balance without anything being said. I mean, it's like you can see the physical impact in your experience of the work, basically, of the non-physical, change within yourself, your energy field, your frequency.
Yeah. It's like for me, this has been like an internal silent revolution. Shadow work for me was very much about clearing the battlefield outside of me, and really, facing myself outside. What zero pointing has done is taken me home, and home is within. And there's a huge difference, because for so long, what many of us do is we look to things outside of us to give us our fix. The relationship makes us feel better. The new job makes us feel better. The pay, the new family, the new house, all of these external things we've looked to outside of us too for so long, as our source of connection or intimacy or power or love. And then the second any one of those things falls away, we fall to pieces. And I don't know how to explain this without just calling it as it is. I got sick of my own shit. So much so. I mean, I was speaking to you last year about my journey up until that point. And it was a roller coaster of emotions. And I'd been through a hell of a lot in a very short period. But I couldn't understand why, how when we do this work, how does this shit repeat? I know there's a saying, we repeat what we don't repair, but how can it possibly come back up? If we've been on this path for so long, if we put in the hours, if we do the work, how? And I couldn't understand it. And it's because we have programs active in us that are either very much, alive and alert, or they're very dormant and stagnant, but they're still driving us. And so when something outside of us, kicked off or fell to pieces, so did we. I got sick of that shit happening, to be honest with you, Todd. And last August, a specific situation with something in my life caused me to really kick off. And I was so done. And I just wanted to know why. How? Show me. I don't care what I have to go through. I don't care who falls away. I don't care what falls away. I'm done with this shit. Mm-hmm. And then Morgan appeared, didn't she? Like she does. And so she introduced me to this process, and she explained it very, very gently, very gently. And then I became like a sponge, because I understood when she was explaining, the polarities between what we have experienced, what we have lived, what we have taught, what we have believed, what we have understood to be our truth and our reality, and what it is that we are actually capable of inviting into our worlds and invoking into our worlds, the difference between the two. And that the only thing preventing and stopping that shit from literally hitting the ground running in our lives has been ourselves. What you do and how you feel and what you think has nothing to do with me. It's none of my business. But if I get so caught up with worrying about what you think and worried about what you're doing and worried about what you're feeling and keeping my mouth shut and internalizing all my stuff. And if I stay thinking, how I feel doesn't matter, what I think doesn't matter, any of the experiences I've had don't matter, then, well, we're going to keep repeating the process. I began this journey under Morgan's wing last August, and a year in, it's been described now as one of my hobbies. Zero pointing. Because I do that. I'm doing this because I understand now the sense of peace this has brought me, the sense of empowerment and the actual how do I say this without, like the actual experience of embodying what I have understood to be who I am, what I am, what I came here for. I'm not just, hoping that this is what I get to experience before I kick the bucket and die. I'm living it moment by moment by moment now. Because what I'm doing is I'm digging deep, and I'm allowing all of these versions of me in all of these different timelines now to have a voice, to be seen, to be heard, to be wanted, to be cherished, to be loved, to be cared for. And I'm doing it alongside the one person who in my entire life has always shown up for me, and that's me. And therefore I couldn't be in any safer hands. This is why I love this process. It's all about me. And that sounds like a real princess. I don't give a shit. It is all about me. And if somebody out there picks up a pen and they start doing this process, you're going to learn very, very rapidly. It's all about you too. There's no more looking outside of you anymore. There's no more looking to anybody alongside of you. This is all about you. And the second that somebody kicks off anything in you, that you don't like how it feels, you don't like what you're seeing, you don't like what you're experiencing, you're not going to turn around and you're not going to go there, want them to change. You're going to turn in. You're going to turn in because you understand that you are the source of everything that you've been looking outside of you for. I know that was a bit of a rant, but
that was good. I was about to say, man, I'm about to, start dancing in the aisles here.
Well, you've had a taste of this. I mean, you understand better than anybody. You've had a taste of this as well. I mean, long before I started this, you know the pretty much instant feeling that you get when you take accountability and responsibility for everything in your world, knowing that it's in your hands. You've said it enough times when you come on here, the human is the hero. And that's what this is about. This is about you coming back in there to retrieve all of those pieces of you that you left your life and going, no, you don't get to stay there. You don't get to, tell me to keep my feelings to myself anymore. You don't get to silence me anymore. And more than anybody, I'm talking to myself, the biggest culprit, the biggest person responsible for of my life, me. Well, and when you go there, you're not going to let anybody else do that, are you? Not even you.
Well, to me, that's like the whole idea behind it is it de-emphasizes absolutely 100% focusing on anything external as being the cause, right? So, and this goes in line with what we were saying a minute ago. And Vera has another comment. So then this is where we're at. In fact, Morgan and I were talking about this yesterday. So transformational is to neutralize to the 0 point. That's what we're talking about. And then co-creation out of 0 point now. Okay. So in other words, it's like you go into this, we were talking about this yesterday, you go back to the 0, and then when you come out, it's not like 1 + 1 = 2. Or 2 + 2 = 4. There's a new math to it. And this is what we're walking into. You could explain it in different ways too. You're raising your frequency, and thereby you're attracting things of a higher frequency to your same frequency. But the bottom line about this to me is anything I want to change, I change in here. And everything around me is going to be affected by my new frequency, like a tuning fork. And either it's going to level up and come together in congruency, or it's going to fall away. And that's what I find really remarkable, hanging around on the peripheral. Because if I look at my situation, it's a little bit different. But although I've had good examples in my life, but I look at some of the people have been on this show. That have engaged this, and it's actually like magic, because how does that happen? Like I went and did this work with myself. I took the emphasis off the externals, whoever that may be, whatever that may be, and then all of a sudden, well, there's one person I know that within like 2 weeks, and I had this person. I know this person. They were in a long-term relationship. I'm talking long-term here, like over 10 years. And within a couple of weeks, boom, it's done. Like that was one of the byproducts. That relationship ended, and then somebody else walked in the door, and they're now living together. And it's all the Heliosgamos and all that other stuff came in, right?
Yeah.
Like this is the crazy stuff that happens. You know, I mean, it's, and I think that, like you said, that the main thing is that you're no longer focused on other things being the force of whatever you're experiencing or the cause of whatever you're experiencing. You're taking ownership for it, and we know this is rule number one. You know, co-creators, conscious co-creators.
Yeah.
How can you be a conscious co-creator if you are blaming external things on your experience?
Yeah.
Well, you're not equipped to be, like Vera said, you're not equipped to be go into co-creation because you're still living in a paradigm that if you're being affected by something external and it's controlling your experience, how can you go out and co-create something when you're still handicapped like that? You can't.
Yeah. I mean, co-creation to one side. Even before that, the second I hand over my power and blame someone or something outside of me for making me feel like shit, the game's up. But what if you don't understand? What if you don't understand this? What if you don't understand just how much of your power, of your energy actually hand over? If these programs, if this way of living and being and doing is so close to you that you can't even identify it, and how it began with me was I'm so caught up in judging somebody else for being an asshole. I'm like, well, how is this person even in my life? I've done the work, blah blah blah. But no, the programs active within me are playing out. They're playing out in my story. My story created by me, for my highest growth and expansion, and from a place of unconditional love. And that's all perfect until you're in the shit pit and you can't see the wood for the trees. So how do we even get to a place where co-creation is something that's even optional if we can't clear out what's subliminally running? It's like trying to install Windows 10 on your laptop when you've got something like Windows 2 running there. You can't. Can I actually share something with you that I wrote?
Do whatever you want to do.
This is a bit of a random thing, but I just want to give people listening to this a little bit of perspective on, how do you identify your programs? How do you know where they are? And this I'm just going to read something for you first, okay? And then just, if anybody's listening to this or watching at home, just humor me for a second. I mean, I'm never going to know the difference if you do this shit or not. But do this for you, not for me. Just close your eyes and listen to this. Listen to what I'm about to read. Okay? And pay attention to the word. When did you stop caring? To the belief that it must be me, I must not be lovable enough. What led you to think that the people who love you will always leave? When did you learn to abandon yourself? What idea to quit on yourself?
She's powerful. She keeps knocking herself off. Powerful stuff, man. She's full of energy. She'll be back. But this is literally one of the things that's happening. We've seen it happen on this show, right? I mean, our energy, our frequencies are getting up there, and they're actually causing interference with, internet signal and many other things, phones and that type of thing. I know where she's going with this, and yeah, it's fascinating. And she said, how do you know? How do you find out? How do you know if there's anything unconscious playing? And it's there's almost like a roadmap if we just go back into our life and pull out the main characters: mother, father, sister, brother, exes. We can find out a lot about ourselves. Let's see. Here she comes back. Okay. It's your energy. That's what it is. Start it over. And they want to know if you can post the poem. Are you still there? Can you hear me?
I will.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Start
Can you
over.
hear me? Yeah.
Yes, we got you.
Right, I'll go again. I'll try and not blow it up a third time.
You're good. You're good.
Okay. When did you learn indifference? When did you stop caring? When did you lose yourself to the belief that it must be me? I must not be good enough. I must not be lovable enough. What led you to think that the people who love you will always leave? When did you learn to abandon yourself? Why did you ever think it was a good idea to quit on yourself? Who told you that you were plain, average, ordinary, replaceable, regular? Who embarrassed you past the point of humiliation and delivered you straight into the arms of shame? What happened in your world that made you feel rejected, cast aside, unworthy, deplorable? Whose incapacity to see who you truly are set the foundations that led you to believe that you were ugly, unlovable, dull, unpleasing, abhorrent, repellent, unmemorable? What made you turn on yourself? What made you become resentful, ruthless, suspicious? What have you had to go through in this lifetime that has desensitized you to the point of craving numbness? Who shattered your heart into a million pieces by being unfaithful, disloyal, mistrusting, dishonest, humiliating you, shattering that beautiful heart of yours? When did you default to responding to life in fight mode, denying all of your senses, senses created to help, serve and guide you? Whose insincere, unmerciful, hostile, cold, harsh, ruthless, brutal, inhumane words silenced you into suppression, diminishing your life force? What mind games at the hands of another believed that you were erratic, unstable, unreasonable, insignificant, broken, or wrong to feel what you were feeling? When did you deprive yourself of the space to grieve, sit with your sadness, let your guard down, or give your mind, body and soul the sanctuary of deep rest, and label yourself depressed instead? Why did you believe you were selfish, insensitive, inattentive, or spineless? Who told you that you were too intense, too sharp, too provoking, too guarded, too shielded, too bulletproof, and too unshakable? What have you tolerated that was unjust, untrue, unfair, and left unresolved? Whose ill-tempered, unapproachable, blunt, abusive, negligent, unresponsive, hateful actions left you believing that this world was an unsafe place? When did someone being inconsiderate, unresponsive, unreliable, inconsistent, insensitive, hostile and antagonistic become acceptable in your story? When did you trade your vulnerability for acceptance or your authenticity for the illusion of security? Tell me now that your search for connection hasn't been paved by your addiction, your craving, and your longing to belong to something, anything that has the capacity to suppress each and every thought, feeling, emotion, belief, or experience evoked in you as you listen to these words. Now, if you want to know what your programs are, the sum culmination of what I've just read out there are my zero pointing list. I wrote that piece after I zero pointed some pretty big lists on one particular Sunday. I went in and I went head first into stuff. It was in March. A lot of shit came crashing down around me and I wanted to know more. I wanted to understand more. What I wrote in those words, in those sentences, those words, the words in those questions were programs running actively. They're not just in me, they're in you, they're in everybody. And we have accepted this shit as our norm for as long back as I can remember. We came in here, we came in this life with an acceptance for bullshit that's off the charts. We didn't know. We didn't know. We didn't know any better. We didn't know that we could have any different. And we can. But we can't get there. We can't co-create. We can't collaborate. We can't do shit until we rumble every single thing that is active within us now. And every single person who who is listening to this, who heard every one of those words, you do not have to look outside of you for one split second anymore. I'm telling you now because I'm living it. And when I've started to clear these programs within me, I was like a sponge. And I went after this. I went after myself. That's what I actually did. And I put the work in, not because I wanted to, heal. No, because I wanted to live what I came here to live. I wanted a life where I experienced the opposite of everything that I've just read out there. Love, care, honesty, being cherished, loved, adored, all of these things by me. I wanted to experience all of the most epic shit from the most simplistic places. And let me show you, and this isn't oh I'm so awesome thing here, but let me just show you what a year of this shit looks like. That's what it looks like. Right there. That's a year's worth of zero pointing. And that's how dedicated I am to this shit. I am so goddamn passionate about it. I honestly think I'm going to explode sometimes. Because you don't have to play small anymore. You don't have to put up with anybody's bull. Split second that something kicks off in you. It's your body. It's like what you said at the beginning of this talk. Your body is communicating with you. Your mind, your emotions, your whole physicality. It's kicking off for a reason, because you've been so goddamn busy prior to a bloody pandemic that you didn't have the bandwidth to stop and take stock of what exactly you were going through, what exactly you were feeling, what exactly you were experiencing. And the shit we've gone through as kids, how many, resilient kids came through the years enduring all sorts of crap, accepting it as our norm, to turn into the adults who do the exact same thing and operate life in fight mode. It's crazy. And there's another way. There's a whole other way. This process is, for me, it has been, if I actually could articulate and put into words what I'm after getting, I think I'd probably genuinely just combust. The joy in my life, my relationships, people, situations and things that were meant to fall away, face planted. And I was left with me. And within me was my gold. I became my own superhero, It's not an outside job, it's an inside job, but it's an inside job that each and every single one of us not just have the capacity to do, fucking responsibility to. Sorry.
That's okay.
This is your life. This is your life. This isn't a goddamn dress rehearsal. It's not. And by simply identifying the bullshit that is operating within us from the minute you open your eyes to the minute you shut your eyes. And it's all in your hands. It's the easiest thing in the world for me to go and turn around and blame the closest person to me for, he's such an asshole, or, no. Oh.
You are on fire, man.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did warn you at the beginning. I've blown up.
I love it. This is
twice.
Fantastic. That's what it's all about. Well, I can't even put the comments up. They're coming so fast. Denise Chadwick said something that I was thinking. She said, man, you have evolved. You've changed so much since the first time you came on with Todd. And we've probably done 6 or 7 shows easy, I would imagine.
I almost puked again before it, but yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I was thinking when I was listening to you. I thought, God, she's really, so you're done. You're doing it. You're doing it.
Listen, honestly, you'd imagine that being able to become the source of your own peace and, embody these things that we've gone through is enough. The off the charts, multidimensional, whatever way you want to talk about it, experiences that have literally happened organically, I don't have words for. The relationships I have in my life at the moment, with the people closest to me, for the first time in my life, I understand who I am. I understand what I came here to do. I understand my purpose. it's all crystal clear. And I've gotten to this point by basically uninstalling all of this bullshit from my life. I've been able to, I love how, well, I try to find the words for it. Time traveling is the easiest thing I can describe. I have quite literally gone back over time to some of the most traumatic experiences I've had. And I have been able to, quite literally, in like, I don't know how to explain it, pick myself up. I have gone in and I have picked myself up. I have taken myself up in my own arms and I have carried myself away. I understand now what connection is with absolute certainty. I understand what true connection looks like. I got in first. I didn't think it was something that I would ever accomplish. In order to get here, I have gone through the polar opposite. I have understood what disconnection looks on every single level. And to say now that I understand what connection looks like, both simple things in my life, like I said, in the relationships that I have with the people closest to me, I am humbled beyond words by what this has actually given me. And I'm not trying to sell any aspect of it. It is what it is. I think it speaks for itself. Look at that woman that you love. Do you know what I mean?
Who, are you talking to me?
Yeah, you know,
I know,
she's
man.
like embodiment of it too.
She's fucking hot. Among other things. No, you're
But
right.
that becomes your norm. What you just said, that becomes your norm.
Yeah.
So we were so used to the chaos and the chaos and the chaos and the chaos that anytime we had a little piece of calm, anytime we had a little piece of calm, we're like, oh shit, I'm going to hit self-sabotage. I'm going to blow the shit up of everything. This can't last. This isn't going to, something's going to go wrong. Now it's the opposite. Yeah. Now peace is your natural state of being, and anything or any in yourself that comes and threatens to distort that peace, that gets taken to the ground. Why? Because you deserve that.
Man.
Nothing less.
You have I don't know what to say. But you're right. And you know the thing about it too is it's a very human process. Like you're not playing up in dimension.
No.
You're not you're just present.
Yeah.
You're present. And it's I resisted it at first.
You're not the only one who resisted in my world, let me tell you.
I did. And I did it because I didn't think. First of all, I didn't think anything. I didn't think I had that big of a. I didn't know what programs were. So why would I think I had any running? But once I made the first big list, then I realized because your third eye just explodes. I mean, obviously you're creating space. So what's going to happen if you create space? It's what you're talking about. Like in the old world, when something would start to go right, you would start looking already for the shoe to drop, right?
Yeah.
And then if now it's and yeah, you were making a joke, but you know what I'm thinking about this. If I look at what Morgan and I are going through, it is slow, very deliberate, steady expansion, but it's due not to the couple, to the two individuals doing the work. And I'm seeing people all over the place doing this, and you can see some of the comments even in the chat. They're basically talking about the same thing.
It's I've been very, 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 very blessed to have somebody who not only resists this process, the second that he does, it comes up into my face about anything that I need to clear up and tidy up. And it's perfect.
So you have somebody close to you that resists, and when they resist, something comes up for you.
It's the funniest shit ever because, like you just said, in the very beginning, you resisted doing the process because you didn't think you had. You think, oh, there's nothing really wrong with me. I mean, I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect, but you don't actually realize how deep those programs run until you actually start writing them down on a piece of paper with a pen. All of your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, your beliefs, and your experience. You give this version of you a voice. You give the version as a kid a voice. You give the version as a teenager in your 20s, 30s, and so on a voice. And all of a sudden, you've got all of these versions of you in the now moment, in coherence, in balance, working with you. But in the beginning, when you've got somebody wanting change in their life, not sure how to do it, not sure even where to start, and is introduced, for example, like you were, to the process, well, the human kind of kicks and screams because it's like, nah, I don't want to do this shit. I've been here before. It hurts too much. I don't want to relive this. I don't want to go there. Actually, I don't even want to do the work. Thanks very much.
Or I'd rather go play in Dimension.
Yeah, right.
Ride my unicorn,
But the bottom line is, it's contagious, and you can. I mean, this is just to relay what you said. You see a difference in me speaking to me, and so that's what happened. How I was approached, and the person said, "Well, how did you do it?" And I said, "Okay, this is how you do it." And so then they start to do the work, and then you're like, "Nah, fuck this shit. I'm out here," because, well, you're having to face yourself.
It's confronting.
And sometimes that's not very pretty. And it for me, what it's done without exception is expanded the amount of compassion that I have for myself, what I've gone through, and what I've experienced. So to any of us who have done the opposite, who have desensitized ourselves, like I wrote, to the point of numbness, well, it's not really going to be a pleasant journey. And so as we go through this process, he does his 0 pointing. He has an integration process. I'm looking at him expand and grow and change and evolve, and it's epic. He's like, this shit's not working, and I'm there kicking off, and I'm there looking at him going, oh my God, this is epic.
Brings back memories.
And so the projections are out, and that gives me an opportunity then to fine tune my stuff. So it's like a dance.
So I heard one thing that because a lot of the things we talk about are pretty common, but you work in a prison, right? You work in a prison, and I heard a little bit. Part of it was you were working with some of the prisoners. Is that right? So yeah, kind of.
So I optimize my time, and if I have an opportunity, we're kind of limited at the moment with movement in the prisons, as you can imagine, with the whole COVID thing. So I take my notebook onto the unit with me, and I start writing. And what happened was, just a couple of the guys around me, this isn't just the prisoners, some of my co-workers as well, are like, what are you doing? Something's different about you. What are you doing? And so I just explain it, and then they're kind of looking at you going, you can see something's clicked inside of them, but they don't really know what, and then they just want more. And so I just very briefly explained the process to a couple of these guys. They take it from there. Everybody takes it from there because it's such an individual thing. But I can tell you, this is just my observation from the outside looking in. I've worked for the Department of Justice and the Prison Service in Ireland for nearly 16 years, and our rehabilitation system is broken. It doesn't work. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Our understanding outside of a prison context is also broken. We don't understand what it means to truly become the source of our own peace, our own sovereignty, our own love, our own connection. We don't. And by doing this, you're not just taking down your own bullshit story. You're taking down generational stuff. You're taking it down from all dimensions, all angles. So you can imagine somebody in a prison who, even, more than the way we have the opportunity to think, come from an environment that is very conditioned, very overwhelming, thoughts, beliefs, you name it, experiences that I mean are off the charts. It's so simple that anybody can do it.
Yeah.
And when one person does it, it has such a ripple effect into everybody in their world. Everybody. I have often done this. I have often, been in the thick of an experience. Every piece of me has kicked off. I want to, combust, and I walk away from a situation. I literally 0 point it, and I walk back and I laugh in the face of what I've just dealt with. And it's because the charge, the energy is it's just discharged. It's discharged, and you've been the source of it. Yeah,
True
it's
that.
just everything.
True to that. Yeah, and I like it because my style is, punch it, punch it between the eyes. And I mean that constructively, not in a bad way. So I naturally react better to a couple things. One you just hit on was the humor. When I come out of these, I'm usually laughing at myself. But going into it, you get punched between the eyes. Like when I was on the streets, I used to hear the brutal honesty of the soul. And I remember like a couple of years ago, a friend of mine, a pretty good friend of mine, was confiding in me, and I happened to meet them. Okay, in the physical. I went and met them, and I said, okay. They said, can you help me? And I said, okay, try this. So we started the process because they were in a situation where they were living a dual existence and basically involved in two different relationships. And they were substantiating their behavior with both, which was all about lies, deception, bullshit. And like you said, you get tired of your own bullshit. So I'm telling you that it was a very powerful experience. They turned purple. They were crying because what was happening was they were getting punched between the eyes, right? With the reality of who they were, or what they were telling themselves, and not so much what they were doing to the other people, but what they were doing to themselves and what was playing in their life as a result of the decisions that they were making. It wasn't a witch hunt, but the revelations hit, the epiphanies came. We didn't have much of a relationship after that, but I know it benefited that person very much, But it's straight talk. It's straight talk with you and the universe and your experience, basically. And really, and the characters that have been involved in your story.
Yeah. They're members of your programs. I mean, we in steps 1 and 2 of this process, we go right back to the beginning. We go right back to basics, and we tackle our parents, our siblings, our partners, the people closest to us, the closest mirrors to us, of us. And it's not to get hung up on what he did or she did or what this, it's to access the program, because what we judge in somebody else is what's active within us. Yeah. And when we go to the point of neutralizing or 0 pointing that's where the puzzle pieces all come from. This just gives healing a whole other level of meaning. The rest for me was just like a Band-Aid over a wound that just kept continuing to open because we didn't even know that we were the source of doing that. You think if you remove, we've all done that. You remove yourself from a job, you remove yourself from a house, remove yourself from a relationship, and the same thing keeps happening. It's just got a different face on it. Yeah. Yes, but you always recognize the energy of it. You always recognize the essence, and like I said, this is where shadow work has been, phenomenal thing. For me, it took me to the point where I didn't beat myself up for finding myself back there again, but I understood it wasn't enough to carry me across the line to take myself back home again, if that makes sense. I knew there had to be something else. I just didn't know what it was, and as you can see from those notebooks, it's like it's like multiple rabbit holes. Like right now, we're at the point when we're doing this work where we're getting to witness, as you probably heard Morgan mention, overlays. Yeah. One thing within another, within another. I spent nearly a month zero pointing the topic, the word shame. It took me down about 1 million rabbit holes, and it basically allows you to leave absolutely no stone unturned, because you come at it from so many different avenues. You met the same approach, and that's quite simply to remove anything that's conscious or subconsciously running within you, that you know you've lived, you know you've experienced, you know why you've experienced it, but you're done with that shit. It's about you taking accountability and responsibility and owning it, and then fighting and invoking the opposite as the conscious creator of your experience, what you know you did in your life, and inviting that in with your words, with your energy, with your vibration, with your frequency, with the tone of your voice, with your words, with it's your will. Nobody on the planet can take that from you. This is your choice. They're your words. You're fine-tuning your own experience by going, yes, please, I'll have cherished, I'll have some adored, I'll have some abundance, I'll have some love, I'll have some admiration, I'll have some peace, I'll have some ease, I'll have some grace. Thank you very much. No problem. Why would you not want to?
Bam.
It takes everything to a whole other level, and you are the source of it. There's no other way to explain it other than that. You are the source. They're what you want to invite and what you want to invoke into your world. You can, but you have to understand where the substance of your story originated. And if you half-ass this, if you take your shortcuts, you learn the hard way. You just back to the beginning. You're talking about this new earth, this new world. This is how you create it.
Yeah.
You create it from scratch, from the ground up.
Yeah.
I love it.
Allison says, once you identify the memory or instance, then how do you 0 point? By forgiving the situation? Question.
Can you say that again?
So here, I'll put it up on the screen. Can you see it?
Yeah. Oh, I love this. Right. So, I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Say you start with one of the very, very basic things. You 0 point one of your parents. So in this case, I'll use my dad as an example. It doesn't matter. My dad passed away in 2011. It doesn't matter if he's here or if he's not here. It doesn't matter if as a kid growing up, you had the presence, the absence of these people. You're going to write down a list of what are your judgments of this person, your attachments, your projections, your perceptions. You're going to ask the version of you right now. Say for example, simply, what are your judge person? And you literally go under the umbrella. Well, how I do it is I go under the umbrella of, well, what are my thoughts about him? What are my emotions regarding him? What were my experiences? What are my beliefs? So just give you talking about. Let me grab a book from the bottomless pit here of the.
How many volumes do you have?
I have literally started to index these, so I can go back. But just to give you an idea, so say I'm going to use, this is just very, very quickly to give you an insight, just because I'm aware of the time there.
Right on.
I'm bringing it into context. This list I'm about to read off isn't anything got to do with him, but we're going to use this as an example. And I write down words like unwanted, unwelcome, fear, salvage, uncertainty, unloved, unaffectionate, tough, dismissive, inconsiderate, aggressive, volatile, negative. So there's a very quick list on some negative attributes of a specific person, for example, right? When I 0 point those, what I'm aware of, I'm aware that I've experienced via people, situations, things. I have experienced all of these words. I've lived them. I have taught them. I have felt them. I have known them intimately. And when I 0 point them, what they actually become, unwanted becomes wanted, fear becomes love, unknown becomes clarity, dismissive becomes attentive, aggression becomes loving, volatile becomes gentle, argumentative becomes understanding. And those positive attributes are what I want to create in my world. But the only way to get from one to the other is by taking it to that 0 point, which is what we do when we do these lists. And it's a simple, sorry, that's what your page looks like.
Let me see.
It's a simple looking, as you can see.
Yeah.
This, this page, this page here is actually on the topic of neglect, which you kind of do down the path. Steps 1 and 2, when we do them, are on the negative to positive attributes and the positive to negative attributes of the people in our world. So kind of to give you an idea of what that looks like. And that's a few bucks of it. So to answer the question, like, I'm asking this current version, for example, what do I feel? And then I time travel, and then I ask the kid version, and then it's like organically, something that I will have gone through as a child steps forward, and it's like maybe my 7-year-old self going, well, listen, let me tell you about what I felt. And I'm like, oh, I'm listening. The teenage version of me has had a lot to say. I love the shit out of her. You know, the version in my 20s, I've had 40 years worth of unprocessing my shit. So a lot of words come up. If you think, oh, I can only get 1 or 2, what if I only get a few words? No, you won't. Ask all of these versions of you, how did you feel? What did you experience? What did you believe? That's how you're asking even deeper. What are you judging? What are your projections? Like if you judged being this person as being unlovable, your projection is possibly nobody's ever going to love me, or the people who love me leave. It expands out into so many different directions that you can't process wrong. You actually can't. It's pretty foolproof, to be honest with you. You're giving yourself a voice. You're giving yourself everything that you didn't have because you didn't know. And you're going to compassionately do it because you already realize as each of these words come up on a piece of paper, you're going, fuck, I didn't know. I didn't realize. How could you? How could you? We've accepted it all as our norm. And it never was.
Not anymore. Not anymore.
Mm-mm.
So, wow, man, that was powerful. We have to get together again.
Yeah,
we can't let it go. We can't let it go that long. I'd keep going, but I have to do a special show in 20 minutes.
No, go for it. Perfect. It's been my pleasure. Thank you for letting me rant.
Yeah. I mean, look at the comments. I mean, Jesus. But yeah, we'll have to do it again soon, though. We can't wait. We can't wait as long as we did this time. Maybe we get together when I get back from Sedona. So it was good seeing you. I'm happy for you. You're obviously, you used to be like a bull in a china shop. Now I don't know what you're like. You're way out of you're way out of the china shop, though. You're more like, I don't know. You're more like Taurus the bull in the constellation. Yeah, you absolutely have. Thank you so much. I love you.
Epic. I love this.
I'll see you later. You take care.
Bye bye.
All right. We'll see you all.